How to share two-factor authentication to a single account with multiple users. Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Here's a question I got very recently. Our Little League organization uses a Microsoft Outlook account for email. For years, two of us were able to share access to it, but now it requires a security number to be texted to my phone. And now after doing that, it's forced me to install Microsoft Authenticator on my phone. Is all this added security really worth it? And is there any way around it? My colleague can no longer access the email unless I send him the code sent to my phone. So I've run into this multiple times in accounts from a variety of providers, both email accounts and online services. Once you enable two-factor authentication, or once it's been required of you, it becomes difficult for the account to be shared between multiple people in different locations. There are a couple of solutions if the service offers the correct types of two-factor authentication. The problem's pretty straightforward. Normally, you start with a single account. It has a username, an email address perhaps, and some kind of a long password. The good news, of course, is that it's easy to then share that account with multiple people. All they need are those two pieces of information: email address or username and password. Then you add two-factor authentication of some sort. All of a sudden, that login information isn't enough, at least for the initial login. In addition to the username and password, you're going to need one of, probably whatever you've set up here, a code texted to one person's phone, a code displayed by a two-factor app on one person's phone, a code or link emailed to one person's email address, the ability to confirm that login on a dedicated app installed on one person's smartphone, or the ability to confirm that login somewhere where it's already logged in, usually someone else's device or computer. You get the idea. You try to sign in, and all of a sudden, you need to ask someone else for a confirmation code or something else. Couple that with the code that probably expires in a few minutes, and it can actually get pretty frustrating pretty quick. Solution number one, TOTP sharing. TOTP, or time-based one-time passcodes, are more commonly known as Google Authenticator compatible two-factor authentication. It's the most practical and secure method of two-factor authentication for most people. The good news here is that you can share this form of two-factor authentication by capturing the QR code or the secret string it represents when you set up two-factor authentication. Let me show you real quick on what that means on a Microsoft account. We are here at the account.microsoft.com page for one of my example Microsoft accounts. This one happens to be pssdev@outlook.com. So, in security, we click on Manage How I Sign In. And you can see that we have different ways to prove who I am when I log in. I can email a code to an email address. I can text a code to my phone. I could use a passkey. We go to add another way to sign into your account. We're going to use an app. Now, this is the strange part, or the misleading part, because this looks like it's encouraging you to set up the Microsoft Authenticator app, which indeed it is. That's the Microsoft app from Microsoft that basically handles Microsoft accounts. But what most people don't realize is that you can set up a different Authenticator app. Now we have a QR code. You can take a screen capture of this QR code, or you'll notice it says I can't scan the barcode, even though it's not a barcode, it's a QR code. We'll click on that. Now we have a secret key for this particular QR code. That's essentially what the QR code contained. You can share this secret key with another user. They then set up their own Authenticator device with this secret key. You set up your Authenticator device with this secret key. You share it with any number of people, and they can all set up their own two-factor authentication device or app with this same secret key. The neat thing here is that this doesn't have to be a Microsoft app. You can use Google Authenticator. You can use 1Password Authenticator because it includes two-factor authentication codes in the vault. You can set up Proton Authenticator. Everyone that you share that code with can use their own Google Authenticator compatible app with that code. And once you've all got it set up properly, you're all going to show the same code at the same time. What that means is that TOTP two-factor can now be used by anyone you've shared that code with and no one else. After one-time setup, every person signing into the account will see the same TOTP code for the account on their device. It does not matter which TOTP app you're using. It doesn't have to be the Microsoft app. All it needs to be is TOTP or Google Authenticator compatible. That's probably the most secure approach to dealing with this, and honestly, probably the simplest. Solution number 2, email sharing. This is a technique I use with one of the organizations I volunteer for. They subscribe to an online service where the account is identified by a single email address. Thus, once again, that default sign-in for that single account is something like teamname@somerandomservice.com with a password. That's enough to log in until the service requires a two-factor security confirmation code, which is sent to that email address. If that email address goes to a single person, then anyone else needing to sign in who happens to hit that two-factor requirement needs to reach out to that single person to ask them for the code before they can sign in. The solution was to use a distribution list email address as the account email address. What that means is that the account email address is teamname@somerandomservice, but team name is not a single person. It's a mailing list. Everybody on that mailing list gets the code that's required to authorize the app. The person logging in uses it, and everyone else ignores the message. The downside, of course, is that everyone else also gets the email sent to that account. Distribution lists are one easy way to do it if you've got the capability. Another approach might be for a single person who's represented by that email address, set up a rule or a filter in their account that triggers on these types of authorization code messages and automatically forwards them to the authorized users. Now, I do have to point out that there are 2 scenarios where there is no solution that I'm really aware of: SMS and hardware keys. SNS-based two-factor authentication is associated with a single telephone number. If that's all you have, then the person at that number will need to be contacted if a code is required. Hardware keys are even worse. Their additional security lies in the fact that you must have the physical key in your possession. It can't be duplicated, it can't be shared. Now, it is possible that some accounts will let you associate multiple different hardware keys, which you could then distribute to multiple users, but I expect it's kind of rare. Now, I mentioned earlier that the process for the use an app approach for second factor authentication in a Microsoft app immediately encourages you to install the Microsoft Authenticator app. You don't have to. I want to remind you, you don't have to. Remember, when you get that prompt, you have that option to set up a different Authenticator app. And that, instead of forcing the Microsoft Authenticator app on you, takes you to the more generic TOTP setup that allows you to use whatever app you like. Bottom line, of course, is to use two-factor authentication whenever it's possible. It is one of the simplest things you can do to secure your account. And yes, do it even for the accounts that are shared among multiple people. Using the techniques we've just talked about, you can keep those accounts secure as well. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/191949. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.